Picture this. It's 3:47 a.m. again, and you're staring at the ceiling for the third time tonight. Your heart is pounding like you just ran a marathon, even though you've been lying perfectly still. Right now, your cortisol levels are 400% higher than they should be. That's not a typo. 400%. And this silent hormone surge is literally aging your brain cells at double speed while you desperately count sheep. I'm Dr. Daniel Lee, and I've spent over a decade as a practicing physician helping seniors just like you restore peaceful, restorative sleep and reclaim the nights you remember. Today, I'm going to reveal 6 powerful 1-tablespoon solutions that can lower your nighttime cortisol within minutes, helping your body switch back into repair mode naturally, without sleeping pills, without dependence, and without that groggy morning hangover. Normally, cortisol should be at its lowest between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. That's when your muscles repair, your memories consolidate, and your blood pressure stabilizes. But modern habits, late-night scrolling, hidden sugars in healthy snacks, dehydration, medication timing, trick your brain into thinking it's daytime. When that happens, cortisol spikes 400% higher than normal, yanking you awake like an alarm clock. Here's the terrifying part. Every time this happens, your body releases glucose into your bloodstream, your heart rate rises, and your deep sleep cycles shrink. Do that for months or years, and research shows your risk of stroke, memory loss, and muscle decline doubles. If you're always waking up at night, your cortisol curve is likely flipped upside down, and your body is stuck in survival mode. But here's the good news. Scientists have discovered that certain natural compounds in everyday foods can lower nighttime cortisol within minutes. You only need 1 tablespoon. Not expensive supplements, not prescription pills, not sleep drugs. Today, we're revealing 6 powerful 1-tablespoon sleep restorers that calm your nervous system, balance cortisol, and help you fall back asleep fast. All backed by science. And number 2 shocked researchers because it worked faster than prescription sedatives in a clinical trial, yet it's sitting in almost every kitchen. Before we dive in, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I'm personally reading and responding to every single comment tonight. Let's start with number 6. It's a golden liquid that science shows can calm your nervous system before you even close your eyes. Number 6. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. That murky, cloudy stuff floating in raw apple cider vinegar is actually beneficial bacteria and enzymes that directly influence your gut-brain axis, the superhighway between your digestive system and your stress response center. When you take 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in 4 ounces of warm water about 30 minutes before bed, something remarkable happens to your blood sugar that most people never connect to their sleep problems. Your glucose levels stabilize instead of doing that 2 a.m. crash that triggers your adrenal glands to pump out emergency cortisol. A study from Arizona State University found that people who took apple cider vinegar before bed had 4% lower blood sugar readings by morning. That's the difference between your body panicking at night versus staying calm. The acetic acid slows down the conversion of carbohydrates into sugar, preventing those middle-of-the-night glucose crashes. Your liver also produces less glucose during the night when apple cider vinegar is in your system, which means your pancreas doesn't have to work overtime and trigger stress hormones. Margaret from Detroit used to wake up every night at 2 a.m. with her heart racing, until she started taking her sour shot, and now sleeps until 6 a.m. without a single wake-up. The key is getting the raw, unfiltered kind with the mother. That's where the probiotics live that regulate your cortisol-producing gut bacteria. You need exactly 1 tablespoon in no more than 4 ounces of warm water, not cold, because warm water helps it absorb faster. The taste might make you wince, but that sour punch is stimulating your vagus nerve, which hits the emergency brake on your stress response. If you can't handle the taste, add 1/4 teaspoon of raw honey, but no more or you'll spike your blood sugar. This simple drink reduces nighttime cortisol awakening response by 23% in people over 60 who took it consistently for 2 weeks. Your grandmother might have called it a folk remedy, but modern science is proving she was right. Number 5. Magnesium Glycinate powder. Your muscles are literally suffocating for magnesium right now, and that deficiency is forcing your nervous system to stay in fight-or-flight mode all night, pumping out cortisol. 1 tablespoon of magnesium glycinate powder in water before bed doesn't just relax your muscles, it blocks the receptors in your brain that cortisol uses to keep you wired. Here's the shocking part. 68% of Americans are magnesium deficient. But if you're over 60, that jumps to 84%, and every single one has elevated nighttime cortisol as a direct result. The glycinate form is crucial because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, unlike cheaper magnesium oxide that just causes digestive issues without fixing your sleep. When researchers at the University of Medical Sciences in Iran gave older adults with insomnia 500 milliliters of magnesium for 8 weeks, their cortisol levels dropped by an average of 35%, and they gained almost an hour of deep sleep per night. Your body uses magnesium to produce GABA, the neurotransmitter that tells your brain to calm down and stop producing stress hormones. Without enough magnesium, it's like trying to put out a fire without water. The powder form works faster than pills because it starts absorbing through your mouth tissues immediately. Robert, a retired mechanic from Phoenix, thought his racing thoughts at night were just part of getting older until his daughter made him try magnesium powder. Within 3 nights, he wasn't waking up in a panic anymore. You need the glycinate form specifically because it's bound to glycine, an amino acid that has its own calming effects. 1 level tablespoon gives you about 400 milligrams, the sweet spot for sleep without digestive issues. Mix it in 6 ounces of warm water and drink it slowly over 5 minutes. Slamming it can cause a sudden blood pressure drop that triggers a stress response. Some people feel effects within 20 minutes, while others need about a week to fully restore their magnesium levels. This mineral is so critical that sleep researchers now consider magnesium deficiency one of the primary causes of middle-of-night awakening in older adults. Yet most doctors never even check for it. Before we dive deeper, show your support by liking this video and subscribing. You can't afford to miss the next secret. Number 4. Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. Scientists were stunned when they discovered that tart cherry juice contains the highest natural concentration of melatonin found in any food. But that's not even the most powerful thing about it. 1 tablespoon of tart cherry concentrate contains compounds called anthocyanins that block the inflammatory pathways that trigger middle-of-the-night cortisol surges, working like a natural anti-inflammatory that specifically targets sleep disruption. Louisiana State University researchers found that older adults with chronic insomnia who drank tart cherry juice twice daily increased their sleep time by 84 minutes per night and had significantly lower inflammatory markers that spike cortisol. The concentrate is about 20 times more powerful than regular tart cherry juice because all the sleep-promoting compounds are condensed down. You only need 1 tablespoon instead of drinking a whole glass that would make you urinate all night. When your body detects inflammation, even low-grade inflammation from arthritis or aging, it pumps out cortisol as part of the immune response. Tart cherries contain specific flavonoids that tell your immune system to stand down. The natural melatonin in tart cherries is also bound to other compounds that make it absorb slower and last longer than synthetic melatonin pills, which is why people don't get that groggy hangover feeling. Your pineal gland normally produces melatonin to counter cortisol at night. But after age 60, melatonin production drops by up to 50%, leaving cortisol unopposed. George, a retired teacher from Boston, said his wife thought he was crazy for drinking cherry juice at bedtime, until his sleep app showed he was getting 2 more hours of deep sleep after just 1 week. The key is getting pure tart cherry concentrate, not sweetened juice blends that spike your blood sugar. Look for Montmorency Tart Cherry Concentrate specifically because that variety has been most studied. Mix 1 tablespoon in 6 ounces of water about 30 minutes before bed. Don't be surprised if it tastes super sour. That tartness comes from the same compounds that lower inflammation and cortisol. Some people report vivid dreams when they first start taking it because they're finally getting into REM sleep properly for the first time in years. The anthocyanins also help repair the blood-brain barrier that gets damaged by chronic high cortisol. This isn't just about 1 good night's sleep. Consistent use reduces overall cortisol rhythm disruption, meaning your stress hormones start following a normal pattern instead of going haywire at 2 a.m. Number 3. Ashwagandha root powder. This ancient herb that nobody can pronounce correctly is literally called the smell of horse in Sanskrit because it's supposed to give you the strength and calm of a stallion. But what it really does is act like a master switch for your entire stress response system. 1 tablespoon of ashwagandha powder contains compounds called withanolides that physically block cortisol receptors in your brain, putting up a do not disturb sign that stress hormones can't ignore. A study published in the Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine found that people taking ashwagandha had their cortisol levels drop by an average of 44% in just 60 days, with the most dramatic reductions happening during nighttime hours. Your adrenal glands get exhausted from pumping out cortisol all day, and ashwagandha helps them reset and follow a normal rhythm. This herb is what's called an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body adapt to stress rather than just knocking you out like a sleeping pill. You build resilience over time instead of dependence. When you take it about an hour before bed, it starts modulating your HPA axis, your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the three-part system that controls your entire stress response. Tom from Seattle couldn't believe an herb with such a weird name fixed his 20-year battle with waking up anxious. But after 2 weeks, he was sleeping through his wife's snoring for the first time ever. The powder form is important because it contains the whole root with all its synergistic compounds, not just isolated extracts. Mix 1 level tablespoon in 8 ounces of warm milk. Dairy or plant-based both work because the fat helps absorption. Some people say it tastes earthy or bitter, but you can add a pinch of cinnamon or nutmeg without interfering with its effects. The cortisol-lowering effects are cumulative, meaning it gets more effective the longer you take it, with most people seeing maximum benefits after about 8 weeks. What makes ashwagandha especially powerful for older adults is that it also supports thyroid function. Since thyroid problems can cause nighttime cortisol spikes, you're hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 2, raw honey from local sources. The fructose and glucose in raw honey create a perfectly balanced fuel reserve that prevents your liver from panicking at night and triggering what's called the dawn phenomenon, a massive cortisol surge that happens when your brain thinks you're starving. 1 tablespoon of raw, unprocessed honey before bed provides exactly enough liver glycogen to last through the night without triggering insulin spikes, working like a time-release energy source that keeps cortisol at bay. Scottish researchers discovered that honey consumption before sleep reduces stress hormone production by up to 50% and increases melatonin release through a mechanism involving tryptophan conversion in your brain. But here's the critical part most people miss. It has to be raw honey, not the processed stuff in the bear-shaped bottle, because processing destroys the enzymes and compounds that regulate your stress response. Raw honey contains over 200 biologically active compounds, including quercetin and pinosembrin, that cross the blood-brain barrier and literally calm the neurons that trigger cortisol release. Your liver can only store about 75 grams of glycogen. When that runs out during the night, your brain hits the panic button and floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol to make new glucose from your muscles. Local honey is even better because it contains pollen from your area that helps modulate your immune system, reducing inflammatory responses that trigger nighttime cortisol. Sarah, a grandmother from Oregon, swears that switching from melatonin pills to a spoonful of raw honey stopped her heart palpitations at night. The key is taking it straight off the spoon about 20 minutes before bed, not mixing it in tea or water, which dilutes its effects. Some people worry about the sugar content, but the unique combination of fructose and glucose in honey actually stabilizes blood sugar rather than spiking it when taken in this specific 1 tablespoon dose. The honey also stimulates insulin release in tiny amounts, just enough to help tryptophan enter your brain where it converts to serotonin and then melatonin, creating a natural sleep cascade. Studies on shift workers who have completely destroyed cortisol rhythms found that honey consumption helped restore normal patterns within 2 weeks. Raw honey also contains small amounts of magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins that support your parasympathetic nervous system. Don't use more than 1 tablespoon though. Excess amounts can spike your blood sugar enough to wake you up. This is about precision, not more is better thinking. Number 1. Glycine powder. This simple amino acid that your body uses to make collagen is the most underrated sleep supplement on the planet. When Japanese researchers studied it on people with chronic insomnia, they discovered something that should have made headlines everywhere. 1 tablespoon of glycine powder, about 3 grams taken before bed, lowers your core body temperature by acting on NMDA receptors in your brain, which signals your body that it's time to sleep and simultaneously shuts down cortisol production like flipping a switch. The researchers found that glycine reduced time to fall asleep by 38%, decreased nighttime awakenings by 50%, and most incredibly, lowered cortisol levels throughout the entire night, not just at bedtime. Your body temperature naturally needs to drop by about 2 degrees for deep sleep to occur. But when cortisol is elevated, it keeps your temperature high and your brain in vigilance mode. Glycine overrides this by forcing the temperature drop through peripheral blood vessel dilation. What's mind-blowing is that glycine is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in your spinal cord and brainstem, meaning it literally tells your entire nervous system to power down and stop producing stress signals. People who take glycine report not just falling asleep faster, but staying asleep through the night without that 3 a.m. cortisol wake-up call. The powder form is crucial because glycine pills often don't dissolve properly and miss the absorption window. You need it to hit your system fast to trigger the temperature drop and neurotransmitter cascade. Frank, a veteran from Texas who hadn't slept through the night since his deployment 15 years ago, called glycine his miracle powder after it gave him his first full night's sleep in over a decade. Mix 1 tablespoon in 4 ounces of water right before bed. It tastes slightly sweet like sugar water, making it easy to take. The effects are felt within 30 minutes as a wave of calm coolness washes over you. Unlike sleeping pills, you wake up feeling refreshed instead of groggy because glycine actually improves sleep quality rather than just knocking you unconscious. Studies show that glycine increases time spent in deep sleep by 24% and reduces daytime fatigue even when total sleep time is shortened, meaning the sleep you get is far more restorative. Your body uses glycine to make glutathione, your master antioxidant that repairs damage from high cortisol. You're not just managing symptoms, you're actually healing the stress-related damage. The most shocking finding was that glycine improved cognitive function the next day better than people who slept longer without it, suggesting it optimizes sleep efficiency in a way nothing else does. This isn't some exotic herb from a remote mountain. It's an amino acid your body already uses, just not in sufficient quantities to combat modern stress. The 6 substances I've just revealed aren't magic pills or expensive prescriptions. They're simple, natural compounds that work with your body's existing systems to restore the calm nights you remember from decades ago. Whether you start with the glycine that directly shuts down cortisol, the ashwagandha that resets your entire stress response, or even just the apple cider vinegar that stabilizes your blood sugar, each tablespoon is a step toward reclaiming your nights from the cortisol monster that's been stealing your sleep and aging you faster than necessary. The beauty is that many of these can be combined safely. Imagine taking your glycine with a spoonful of raw honey, or following your magnesium with some tart cherry juice, creating a personalized cortisol-crushing routine that works for your specific sleep challenges. Your body wants to sleep properly. It's designed to sleep properly, but modern life has broken the natural cortisol rhythm that your ancestors never had to think about. These 6 tablespoons are your way back to the peaceful, restorative nights that are your birthright, not a luxury. Sweet dreams are waiting on the other side of that tablespoon. If you have any questions or want to share your personal experience, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'm Dr. Daniel Lee, and I'll see you in the next video.